Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah, so let's get started. So, any questions? I'm sending the egg with one while loop and the packet in a separate while loop. Bat file descriptor or timeout. Okay. So it should be in the like listen function, right? Yes, I fixed my error. Sorry. Timeout error occurs. Yeah, because you didn't catch the timeout, right? You have to catch the timeout. Maybe you can show me a screenshot of the try and except of your code, but do not show the whole stuff, but just show that fraction, and I can have a look, and also run it, and I can see the output. I just show that part, show your listen function, then I can have a look. Yes, everyone can see your code, and this will be uploaded. So maybe you can share your like what's the output at first. Let me have a look of the error. Then maybe we need to have a look of the code, but maybe we don't. It's okay. You can send it in the chat, but they can still see. I can't help you to do coding, so that's the reason why we do not encourage you to do this. But I can have a look of the error, so but everyone can have a look, so they can refer to this. And we are not allowed to help you to write the code or teach you how to fix it on the code. Otherwise, it will be not fair. But I'm happy to have a look of the bug. So if you able to share the like output, then maybe we can fix it. Feel free to post any question you have, or you can share your screen. Please give me a sec. Let me run my IDE first. Can you prepare the error output like in the screenshot, or is that all? Because I want to see where is the code causing this error. Right, okay, I have my ID right now. Today is question and answer. So if you have any question, feel free to ask it. Or you can also like share the error or share the difficulty you have encountered. Bad file descriptor is usually because you close the socket before you access it. So you need to have a check of your code, like for this one, bad file descriptor. For example, if you like open a file, but before that you close the object, and it will cause this error. And if you open a socket and you use it after you close it, then you will also have this error. I'm not sure which kind of reason do you have, but maybe you need to have a check of the socket, the status of socket, and the status of the code of the file if you open any file. So maybe put something like if this socket is still valid, then we go to here. Or if the file is still valid, then we write the file or read the file. So if we don't have any question, then maybe we can have a look of the specification today. And let me have a vote for this one. Okay, just get started and working on it. And which part would you like to have a look? You can vote for it, so I can focus on like one of the topic. Sender side. Sender side. Okay. Yes, because we have been working on it for two weeks already. So if for the sender side, maybe we can come to the specification at first. The sender side, if you just get started, then you can come to here. The sender side should be started on page 5. Here. You go to the section 3.4 and do this kind of task one by one. And last week, we have already go through most of them. So you can have a check of the recording. We do some coding last week, and we have already implement like from 1 to 4. And you can have a check of the recording. And we also have a template code here. And this one is week 8. Basically, you can have a look of this code in here, week 7 and week 8. We already upload the code in here. So you come to here and have a check and try to run the template code at that time. We add more function in the template code just to show you how to do the sender side task. For example, how to open the file and how to drop a file. You can see in here we drop a file packet. And this is the sender. We can have a look of this is the receiver. We can have a look of the sender. In the sender side, we also implement some of the critical function, such as the header, because we need to have a 6-byte header, right? So we have already go through how to build a header and attach with the content. Then we can send it through the socket. And in the receiver side, we also have a function to read it. I don't know why after sending the packet. If you want to send me a message, please send a public message so everyone can have a look and know what I'm talking about. So you have a bad file descriptor error. So in this case, you should have run it line by line. Maybe you need to debug the code. Let me try to run my code and see if I can show you how to do the debugging. And just give me a sec. And could you explain a little bit about multi-threading and how to implement it? Yeah, for sure. Let me go through the error questionnaire first, and then we have a look of the threading. This is the template code, and I'm going to run it right now. This one is the receiver, so I'm using PyCharm. You can also use this one, or you can, it's free for students. And of course, you can also use VS Code. Doesn't really matter. Should be quite similar. So in the receiver side, I place the parameters in here. So I don't need to put it every time. And I can run it. Already in use. Yeah, that's because I'm using the terminal to run it. Let me try to run it again. Okay, now it's running. And let's run the sender. The sender, and we also need to input the parameters. Should be in here. So edit. Okay, so in the sender, we also need to have a text file. In here, what's the name of the text file? It's called random1.txt. Let me just create a new random txt file. Okay, that's our file. That's the text file. Then let me try to run the sender of the template code. You can see we sent 2 packets. And let me show you how to debug for the sender and receiver. So you can know why your code is not working properly. So left-hand side is sender, right-hand side receiver. And if you want to have a check, if you have an error in one of your function, you can try to run like this. Go to the function you have error. For example, in the listen function, in the sender side, in here, maybe you may have some trouble in here. And let me try to cause an error here. So I will set the socket, set timeout to 1. And let me try to run. Okay. So as you can see here, because I set the timeout for the sender side, so it may cause some error if I do not catch the error in here, right? And in here, I can find this line caused the error, but I'm not sure why I have this error. So what should I do? I can just put a breakpoint at this place. So simply just click the line, and you can see the red dot in here, and you can right click it and debug sender. And then you can see we come to this line. Then you can use the step over. It will go to the second line, right? So it will run line by line. Then you can have a check. What is the value for different variables, and why will we have this kind of error in here? And you can see I keep stepping, and then this time we don't have any error, right? And if I put a raise error here, raise like sockets dot timeout, I raise an error in this place. Then I use debug, and in this place no error, and we can use this step over, just press the button, and it will keep going, and we come to the error at this place. So this function will allows you to have a look, what is the situation at that point and why do you have the error? Is that okay? So if you have any kind of trouble with your code, especially for the listen function, because this one is multi-threading, right? So this will be very helpful. Is that okay? So if you have any like error causing by this line, you just put a debug point at this place and then run with the debug mode. So you will be able to have a check, like why do you have this error and what is the variable at the time. And now let's come to the multi-threading part. As you can see here, that's the multi-threading code in our template, right? And if you want to like know any kind of specific question, just let me know. Otherwise, I will just go through simply. For example, we put a debug point at this place and see how it goes. So after I click start, then you can see we come to this place. We already at this line, and this is the variable inside the class. And you can also move your like mouse to the object. So you can see the value. What is the value of the socket? And what is the value of the variable, right? So it's pretty easy and straightforward. It's a tuple and this is the value. And let's have a look of the multi-threading at this place. Let me just close the receiver. So when we come to this line, as you can see here, this one is the sender class, and we are at the init, right? Initialization of this class. And when we come to here, we will create a listen thread at this place, and we run to the next one. So you can see this one is just a thread, and we will start to run this one. So we will just step forward, and you can see we jump to here. So this function will start to run after we create the class. As you can see here, we just create a thread and ask this thread to run, right? And inside this function, listen function, as you can see here, we have a while loop. And this value is true. You can see that. It's a while true loop. So we are running this loop in like without stopping. So as you can see here, this thread will run this 3 line again and again. I should delete this one. So we will run this 2 line again and again. And that's how we do this one. And for example, if you want to add more stuff, like let's say you want to print more message, then you can do it in the while loop. Let's say every time you want to bring another message, like start to listen to a new message. Then we close it and do this line. And then you can run the sender. You can see we start to listen for new message here, right? And that's the code we put it here. And we can also create a new function. For example, you want to have a new subthread do another thing, like print, for example, greetings for this one. So all we do is just basically do the logging for, and we print hello world in here. And maybe we need a timer, time.sleep. We print it every 1 second. And how to put this one into our subthread is pretty simple and straightforward. And all you need to do is just copy these two lines and paste it here and change the target to our new function like greetings. And yeah, and that's it. And maybe we can add an parameters for this one. Let's put a name in here. So for the arguments, you need to have a comma here. If you want to have any input, you need to put it like this. Even it only accepts one parameters in here. So we put it here. And the name. So basically we just print the message every second and try to run it. Oh, sorry. We have an error here. Okay, so it's the type error, and now I fix it. So every 1 second in the subthread 2, we will print this message. And now we come to another question, like for this one, this is a while true loop. How can I close it, right? How can I close them? So we can set this one as a value, like self.is active. We can use this value. And at some point, we can change this value to false. So we will not get trapped in this while loop. Maybe we can do it here in PTP close. We basically just change the value to false, right? And this value will be set to false, and we think maybe the thread 2 will be closed at this point. And let's have a check. You can see we print this value, we print the message, and now we closed. Maybe we can also print the message at this point, so you know we set the value to false. And in here, we run it again. You can see we print it twice. And in here, in the main thread, we set this value to false. And thus, the thread 2 is end, right? So that's how we use the multi-thread. And I hope this is helpful. And if you have any question, just let me know. Yeah, if you have any question, please post it in public, so other students can know what I'm talking about. So could you please put it on the public, and we can go through how to do the setting. Yeah, you are getting an error usage. So let me show why do we have an error usage in here. So in this setting, you will have a parameters stuff in here, right? I just put it in here. So let me delete it and run it again. So I delete the parameters and now I try to run it. It will show this one, right? It will show error usage. This is because we don't have any input for this program. And so we come to here. If we don't have enough input, then we just close the program, right? And show the message. So what should you do? Even in the VS Code, it's the same. So go to the configurations and find the parameters and then paste it. To put the port number and the file and other parameters inside the parameters, and then you can run it. And that's how you run the code. So you can simply Google it, how to run with the parameters, or you can just run it with the terminal, right? So you go to terminal and like you can have a check if you have the stuff and you just simply receiver run it. But if you want to debug it, you have to set in the configurations like in here. So basically just search like where's the parameters for VS Code. How to set the parameters for VS Code. And uh, and we still have plenty of time, so ask any question if you want, especially for the specification. This sliding window is supposed to be similar to selective repeat, right? Uh, uh, for the sliding window stuff, I do have something to share. Just give me a sec. Let me to log into the forum. In just 1 minute. Let me find the stuff. Okay, we come to here. Have a look of my browser. Can you see this diagram? Yeah, so this one basically show how should we have the program. How do we implement the sender and receiver? In this case, we have a like sync like handshake at first, and then we will send 4 packets in a row. And we assume we have only 4 packets for this file. And as you can see here, we have the packet 1 and 3 lost. So we will not have the acknowledgement for the packet 1 and 3, right? So what should be the acknowledgement for the packet 2 and packet 4? So act 2, so what is this 2 means? Do you have any idea? Is this like act for packet 2 or act for sequence number 2? So is it act for packet 2 or sequence number 2? Yes, you are right, sequence number 2. So this will indicate we are still waiting for which packet? Exactly, we are waiting for packet 1, right? So we are using the sequence number just like in TCP to indicate which packet are we waiting for. And as you can see here, we reply the act number 2. It will say, we didn't receive the first packet yet. And in the buffer, we will still put it in the buffer, right? We will put the packet 2 and packet 4 we have received in the packet, in the buffer. And then we will say, we didn't receive packet 1. We didn't receive packet 1. And if we have a packet 5 in this place, and we can send another acknowledgement for this one, then we will trigger the fast retransmit. But this figure does not show the fast retransmit since we only have 4 packets. Yeah, so we have to wait for until the timeout. And if we trigger the timeout, we will send the oldest packet. So we only resend the packet 1. And then we will have a timer for packet 3 if we receive the packet 1 already. In here, you can see we will move the timer to the packet 3 after we have the acknowledgement for packet 2, packet 1. Yeah, so this one is slightly different than the selective repeat or go back and could be a little bit confused. Yeah, I'm trying to send the link to the chat, but I can't send it. Maybe just come to the forum if you want to have a look of this one. The name is receiver act in this question 376. Yes. Now I got the reason. Not sure why after sending packet there is a bad file descriptor error as the loop is done and I won't be reading the file once as it is reading. Yes, that's the problem. Let me show you like why you have this problem. As I mentioned before, you must have some error with your socket or the file. Now I know why do you have this error. So let me show you why do you have this error. So maybe just in console. I will try to show you in here and so what, let me have a check. What's the file name here? Random one, right? So now you are trying to read a file like this. File equal to open random one.txt and with maybe RB. You have something, you must have something in your code like this, right? And then you use the function read or read lines to do the reading, right? And maybe I can just simply print it in here. Print, I just print the file in here. We'll just read it and print it. And that's the stuff I have. And second time, you must read it again. Did you see that? You you run the file read again, then you can see there's no output or it will cause an error in some case, right? So you have to open this one again and you run the file again, you read the file again, you have the content, and you have the content. That's the error you have. So I recommend you to write it in this, like with open the file as file, then you can do the file.read, or you can save it to content and do something like this and print content. So every time you do something like this, if you want to read or write a file, use this kind of format. You do with open, but you do not save it into the variable, isn't it? Maybe you just simply use it. Oh, you do? That's pretty strange. Yeah, even it's empty, it's still in byte. So maybe you need to save it into a like variable. Oh, you do. You save it into variable. Then what's the reason why you have that error? I'm not pretty sure like why you have that kind of error. Maybe you can like try to remove lots of lines. Like how many rows do you have in the listen function? I can see you have some trouble with the listen function, but do you have the same function? Is your listen function just as same as mine? Okay, you have a try and except like this. So try except maybe socket the timeout like this. No other stuff. So in the sender side, I run it. It have no error. So how can I get this error? Maybe you close the socket. Do you have any kind of code in your sender side, like close the socket? Maybe you put it in somewhere like exit. You close the socket at some place. Maybe PTP close. You have something like this. So this may cause the error. Let me try to run it. Is this one? Is this the same error we have? Yes, because you close the socket at this place, right? While we have the listen function still running, still waiting for the incoming message. So we are still using this socket, but at outside, at the main thread, we close it, right? So we have this error. So firstly, we come to here, we run at this point, and then we come to here. At the main thread, we come to here, but we are still waiting for this one. And suddenly this one is deleted, and then we will have this error. So now you know where is the error. So try to solve this one by yourself. So maybe at first you can just simply delete this line at first and try to search how to solve this one before you want to close it. And very simple idea is maybe we can just simply queue the main thread at this place. We do not close the socket. And maybe we just like quit the main thread. And then not sure it will work, but you can have a try. But at this place, you can see there's no error output, but the main thread is still running. So try to solve this one. It have a locking here. Okay, feel free to post any question you have. Another thing I want to mention here is the sender design and receiver design. So basically you can come to this page 11. It will have the final version of the sender and receiver design. So make sure your submission follow these guidelines. Instead of the previous page, for example, in here, we have some small task at this place, like in the receiver. So this is small task. If you just started, follow this kind of small task, then you will be able to like write it step by step. But once you like reaching the end of the assignment, like for example, you have already finished all the function, then you can come to this part and have a double check, like what is the receiver design at the end. So double check. Yes, I'm still working on the like test case for the section 9, and I will put it into our GitHub later. So I will give you some code like this. I will ask you to run some like command like this, and you should have some output, and we will go through it by next week. So come to the help session next week, and we can go through it together. And let's see what's the output of it. So I'm still working on this one. And if you finish your assignment, try to run this kind of command by yourself and make sure you have the same output. And the way we test your program is basically copy and paste, maybe not the same port number, not the same file name, but these two values will be the same. And the RTO value, RTO value is around like 500, will not be very small. And don't worry about it if you set it as a like very small number and you have some trouble with your program. We will not test very small number for the RTO value. And the same as the test 2. For the test 2, like if we didn't specify the FLP value, then you can just use the random value. Like, because in this task, we are going to try if the FLP value will work or not. So maybe we will set a very high, let's say 0.5. or 0.8. So we have very high chance to lose a packet. Then we will have a check of your log and see if you like drop any packet and if the retransmission is working or not. So test your program in this way. Okay, please let me know if you want to go through any kind of content in the assignment. Yeah, because we have already go through basically everything in the previous help session. So I'm not pretty sure which part should we go through by this week. And next week, maybe we can come to the last part where we can have a look of how to do the test. So now if you have any trouble with the sender or receiver, just let me know. And yeah, one thing to make sure is run your code on VLab instead of your own computer when you do the testing, as the environment of Python is quite different. So you have to have a check. Otherwise, you may have a huge trouble if your code, if it's not running on VLab.